the second hour, we want to concentrate on the Holocaust, the capital H Holocaust, the greatest crime of the 20th century, maybe the greatest crime of all human history, not just for reasons of quantity. 6 million Jews done to death in a very short period of time, not for anything they'd done, but for who and what they were. A genocidal drive to industrially, to systematically annihilate them, eliminate them, remove them as a people from the face of the earth. Believe it or not, I've got one of the people who denies the Holocaust on the line. His name is Ian in Loughton, and I want to hear from him. Ian, what do you say for yourself?
Yes, well, I'd just like to say there's a very good reason why school children shouldn't be subjected to all this nightmarish nonsense about bars of soap and lampshades made out of human skin, because none of it ever happened. It's a grotesque fantasy. It's continued to the present day for propagandistic reasons, and also for the reason that a lot of people are making a lot of money out of it.
Are you a fascist, Ian? Are you a Nazi?
I am of that persuasion, yes.
You're a Nazi, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And you presumably are unabashed about the fact that millions of Jews demonstrably perished in the period that your hero Adolf Hitler was strutting the stage.
Well, I think you should get things into perspective. A lot of people died in World War II inside.
No, I'm not talking even just about World War II. I'm talking about in the concentration camps and in the occupied countries that Hitler occupied, where people were packed onto cattle trucks on trains and taken to Auschwitz and Treblinka and Birkenau and Sachsenhausen and these other charnel houses, where demonstrably millions of them were done to death.
Would you like me to explain?
Well, I cannot imagine that you can explain away the massacre of millions of people, but try.
Well, I will. Towards the latter stages of World War II, Germany was subjected to saturation bombing. The transportation system broke down. There was an outbreak of typhus. The concentration camps were in remote areas, and it was very difficult to get food to them. People were starving all over Germany, whether they were Jewish or German. And when the concentration camps were entered, in the case of Auschwitz, by the Russians, they found a lot of dead.
You do know that the death camps were in Poland, don't you? You do know that the concentration camps were where most Jews were massacred were in Poland.
I don't know about any Jewish massacres, but I do know that, as I say, Auschwitz was in Poland, yes. Now, the point is, have you seen the film which is shown occasionally on TV of the British forces liberating, I use the word liberating in inverted commas.
Oh, do you really? So you're not just a Nazi and Hitler lover. You actually besmirch the memory of those brave British servicemen that fought their way through the Nazi filth in order to save skeletal people in those concentration camps.
Yeah, I'm saying, have you seen the film?
Was that a hoax? Was that a hoax, Ian?
I'm trying to explain something to you. Have you seen the film of the British officer who was in charge of the forces that entered Dachau?
Go ahead.
Well, the film is shown occasionally. I saw it just a few months ago on TV, and he says that having entered the camp, he found a number of, certainly hundreds of people dead in an emaciated condition, and he says on the film these people appear to have died through a combination of disease and starvation. So we have exactly the same thing happening in Dachau that we did in Auschwitz.
But Dachau was not a death camp. Dachau was a concentration camp.
According to you, in Auschwitz it's a result of gas chambers. It's exactly the same thing.
Well, it's not according to me. The gas chambers were there. The Jews were there, and then they were dead. And many people who survived the camps have testified of the long queues of people. We've seen the pictures, for God's sake, of the mountains of corpses. We've listened to the small children that survived but saw their parents forced into a gas chamber and gassed to death. How can you come on the radio and deny it?
I ask you a simple question. Can you show me a gas chamber today anywhere in the world?
Well, I think anyone who's ever visited one of these concentration camps, has visited one of these death camps, is vividly aware of exactly what happened.
I'm saying, can you show me a gas chamber anywhere in the world today? Can you show me a bar of soap made out of human beings?
I never mentioned the bar of soap. You invented that one in this discussion. I never mentioned the bar of soap. You maybe think it's funny to talk about the massacre of millions of people for no other reason than that they were Jews, or they were disabled, or they were gypsies, or they were homosexuals, or they were communists, or they were trade unionists. You maybe think it was funny that your hero, the evil, the epitome, the acme of evil, Adolf Hitler, massacred. I don't happen to think it's very funny at all.
No, I don't either. I don't think it's funny at all either. I think it is grotesque. That's the word I used when I first came on.
No, you think the discussion of it is grotesque. You told us at the beginning you're a Hitler supporter, you're a Nazi.
I've already admitted to that. There's no point in going on about that, is there? You're a communist.
Well, I'm not actually a communist. If you'd been listening to the last hour, where we were talking about religion, you would know how absurd a statement that is.
Well, that's certainly what I've always regarded you as a communist.
Yeah, but that's because you're an ignorant fool who cannot see what's in front of you. You can't see the mountain of dead Jews. You can't smell the gas chambers because you're a Hitler lover. And you think we should allow you to go around organising on the programme of Hitler, do you?
Going around organising?
Yeah.
I think that the policies of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, if applied to Britain today, would certainly bring about a much better Britain, as simple as that.
Who would you be putting into the concentration camps, Ian?
Well, I think there's quite a few people.
Tell us.
Quite a few people that are doing their absolute best to wreck this country.
I'd presumably be one of them in your concentration camp.
I don't know how seriously to take you.
Would it be Muslims rather than Jews this time?
I don't see any problem with Muslims, to be honest.
What about blacks?
Sorry?
What about blacks?
Well, I think it's much better for the black population and the Asian population. They should simply live amongst their own kind. That's the only way I see it.
But
all this multiracialism is what.
But most black people and most Asian people living in Britain today are living amongst their own kind. They were born here. This is their country. They're as British as you or me.
Their own racial kind.
You want the world to be divided up on racial. You want all the white people. What about people that are kind of slightly dusky? What about your Neapolitan? What about your Sicilian? What about your Romanian? Is he white enough for you, Ian?
I think people are better off living amongst their own kind.
But what does that mean, their own kind?
For example, if you go to a zoo today, you don't see all the big cats putting together in the same cage, because if anyone's...
But our own kind is humankind. All the tigers live together. All the elephants live together. They don't say, you are a slightly darker elephant than me, so you'll need to go and live somewhere else. The tiger doesn't say, your stripes are a little bit different from mine. You've got to go and live somewhere else.
No, but I'm saying if you put all the big cats in together, there will certainly be problems. And if you mix people together, there are inevitably problems. The problems caused in this country are through multiracialism and the people that propagate multiracialism. It's not necessarily the people themselves.
In fact, it's you that should be in the zoo. You are a foul and atrocious animal. And I feel unclean that I have spent the last 10 minutes speaking to you. I'll go to Oliver in Walsall whilst I recover.